Oh, wow.
Owen Wilson, wow.
Oh, wow. Hello, and welcome to 10-7 Off Duty Podcast. My name is Andrew Straley, EMTP, and with me today is John Willison. Hello. That was sexy. I like that.
Yeah, right in your ear. Right in your left ear.
Right in your ear hole.
Right in your ASMR.
Okay, let's not do that. So,
Bob Ross was our generation's ASMR.
Was?
Bob Ross was my generation's ASMR.
Let's put a happy little tree right here.
Just a happy little tree. There's no mistakes.
There's no mistakes.
Of course, he would like get you all into it, and then he would like be like, okay, clean your brush, and now. You remember that?
Yeah.
Because you'd be like all like half asleep, and then you'd smack the brush, and you're like, ah! Like, I'm up. What is it, Bob?
That's how we kept that channel going.
That's probably how he kept you awake for the commercials.
It was Bob Ross and Price is Right. Whenever you were sick.
Oh man, did you ever stay up really late and watch the PBS channel and watch all the stupid infomercials though? I used to love those.
I remember there was this is kind of off from what I was gonna say, but on Saturday nights on PBS there was a show called Video Lunchbox. It was like 1 o'clock, like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's how
No one's watching PBS at 1 o'clock in the morning except for you, apparently.
That's where I first like heard Between the Buried and Me from first to last. Like,
really,
it was
they had like good music.
It was MTV when MTV stopped playing music and turned into
PBS had this.
PBS.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We talked on an episode like we were like me and you grew up country, and so
yeah, but I always hated country music.
Yeah, but on Saturday
I grew up on classic rock.
On Saturday nights, this is kind of like showing how rural I am. On Saturday nights, me and my family, when I was, younger teenager, would go to auctions because Saturday night there would always be like an auction house that would have, a consignment auction or whatever. So we'd go see what we could find, and
you find some awesome stuff at those auctions.
Oh, auctions are amazing.
I would still go if I had the time.
We'd get home, and this would be. Because I never had cable when I was growing up, ever.
No, we had antenna TV.
Yeah.
Three channels, and none of them came in great.
Yeah, like ABC, NBC, and then you would have CBS and
PBS came in
PBS.
Good. PBS always came in well.
But Saturday nights, we'd get home from the auction, and it was 10 o'clock at night was the Red Green Show, which I loved the Red Green Show. It was amazing. Do you remember the Red Green Show?
No.
It was this dude. They were supposed to be in Canada, but it was this guy that in flannel and khakis and a freaking like ball cap, like an old guy, like salt and pepper beard. And
what did he do?
Like it was just a TV show about being in a lodge, the Possum Lodge. In Canada.
Oh yeah,
and then
it was
he had
kind of like the old Ernest show.
Yeah, and his nephew was just this nerdy guy, like hi. Yeah. And then Red Green would always have like some sort of a horrible project. Like he took a Honda Civic and put it on tractor tires and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like the original like. Weird shit doing with stuff, YouTube stuff. Like, people do that on YouTube.
It was him with duct tape, like duct tape, and was his thing. Yeah, so he fixed everything with duct tape. So it was that I'd watch that, and then
like redneck. Oh God, what is that guy? The fixer upper guy that always wore the plaid. He looked just like Al Borland from Tool Time.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, that guy basically. Yeah, okay.
And then after that show, I think was something stupid. Probably Doctor Who.
It was PBS. It was a lot of it was crap.
I think Doctor Who used to be on PBS too.
The really old episodes, like the black and white ones, which were good for their time.
So
it was hard to watch.
I would nap, probably after Red Green, I'd like nap, and then all of a sudden it would be Video Lunchbox, and it would have these metal. It was all brand new music videos from like metal bands and stuff like that, and alternative rock.
That's awesome. We did not have that at our PBS.
Really?
Because every PBS is different, and you're in like a different county.
Yeah,
it's like radio stations. We did not have that. That would have been awesome. I would have flipped.
Yeah, that's where I first learned about a whole bunch of like bands, because I was like seriously like 12 or 13 or something like that, and like I was still getting my my own music tastes, and because my
you grew up in the middle of nowhere, you really only have your parents' music at first,
and radio.
Yeah,
and radio sucks. So yeah, watch that. And
radio's pretty hit and miss around here for sure.
First time I heard all the awesome metal music, I'm like, oh, what is this new brave new world?
Oh, it's like when I was a kid, before I discovered like modern metal music, I thought metal was Black Sabbath, which it is, but it the difference is night and day.
Vintage metal, yeah.
Blue Oyster Cult was way ahead of their time.
True.
I think that's Blue Oyster Cult. Or no, maybe it's Deep Purple. Who sings Highway Star?
I don't know.
Nobody's gonna take my car. I'm gonna drive it.
That was Deep Purple. Yeah, Deep Purple. Yeah.
Like, that's a metal song. Like, the way he sang, too. Like, he would nearly scream almost. Like, that. He was way ahead of his time.
Right.
Plus, that song is awesome. Possibly the greatest driving song of all time.
Right.
Ooh, she's a killing machine. Like, that song's awesome.
So,
what's your favorite driving song?
Dude, I don't...
Like the song that you don't even realize you're going 90, and then you're like, oh, God.
Pretty much anything.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's just how you drive anyway. That's a good point. Yeah. So, like, what, 200?
So, as we've said on the podcast before, I was let go from my previous employer. So I've been putting in applications, doing testing for flight medic and all that stuff.
How long do they make you wait? Because I know you put it in, right? You like tested?
Yeah, there's a lot of different variables. It just depends on when they get your test results.
But no matter what, it's a while, I'm sure. It's got to be the worst.
Yeah, just waiting on the test results to come back, and doing all this stuff. But
how do you think you did?
I don't know. Like,
you're not like I killed it.
Every time I take, I'm a horrible test taker.
You have like test anxiety?
Yeah. Every time I've taken. Every time
yeah, somebody failed their grammar test in high school.
Whenever I took my basic and my intermediate, my paramedic test, my state test...
You probably thought you failed them all, and then you passed them.
Exactly.
So you probably did all right.
Yeah.
But you feel like you failed it miserably.
Yeah. I would get out of those.
So this waiting period's got to be real fun for you.
Yeah, it sucks. But I did one of the larger pediatric hospitals in this area. They bought out 3 hospitals and an ambulance service.
Wait, so would you be an ambulance only for kids?
No.
Oh, it's just like
it's
by chance they're a pediatric hospital.
Yeah,
okay.
But it's one of the more known pediatric hospitals as far as trauma goes in the Illinois area. They bought out.
Is it St. Jude's?
No.
Oh,
that's
the only one I can think of.
That's not
even in Illinois, is it? No, that's in like Spring, Indiana. I don't remember where St. Jude's is.
Neither do I.
I know that it exists.
Yes. So what we did was I put my application in. Didn't even think I was going to really hear back from them. Had a phone interview with the actual hospital. Then had a phone interview with the guy that runs the ambulance base. And then a couple of days ago went and had a in-person interview. Plus they do a skills rotation.
Oh, so that means you did do well on your test, right?
Well, for the ambulance service, yeah.
Cool. So there's a prospect.
Flight is an entirely different thing. But the hospital that owns it has their own flight. So it's more of a lateral movement going from...
That would be easier transition, probably, right?
Yeah, it's more of a lateral movement from ambulance to flight than it is,
Plus, if you need to,
get into flight.
Few more months of testing and learning, you could still work there while you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
But the thing is, they ran their in-person...
And you get to meet the people you're working with, too, on the other side. That'd be nice.
They ran their interviews like a national registry test would.
What do you mean?
Or critical care test would. So this is how it went. Showed up in the morning, and they sent me an email that said, business casual, try not to do jeans or anything like that.
Right. Look nice, but don't wear a suit.
Right, exactly. So went in, and they have a trauma a trauma station, a medical station, a psychiatric station, and then they had a megacode. Now,
What's that mean?
Megacode is like a ACLS cardiac thing.
Okay.
So basically, they want
Serious
you
code,
to
basically.
know that you can, go from this cardiac problem to this cardiac problem to this cardiac problem, and give the correct medication dosages and
Okay.
correct interventions that you would need to do for it.
Is this all stuff that you're familiar with?
Yeah, but like I said, test anxiety sucks. Man. So,
Like you know it, but you just like when they ask you it and tell you to write it down, you're like, oh god.
yeah, but see, and that's how National Registry is you have to be able to verbalize everything that you're doing, and make sure that you follow all the steps. And
I bet if somebody just asked you the questions, you'd probably do fine.
right,
But they make you write it down. You're probably like, oh,
no,
God.
with these, they don't ask you the questions. Like, they give you a scenario, and then you have to, in your head, go, okay,
This is
with
what I
this
would do.
scenario, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, and,
That seems like it'd be a good way to test, though.
It is, but then there's always those times whenever in the back of my head I'm thinking something that I'm doing, but I'm not actually doing it.
You're second
I didn't
guessing
say
it like you would never do in the field.
No, yeah. Well, if I'm hands on with a person, it's different than if I'm
You're
just
not going to
like
second guess. If it's
trying
in there,
to.
You're like thinking of all the variables that could ever be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like whenever I think about putting a cardiac monitor on, but I don't say it, so then I get dinged for not saying it.
Oh,
because it's in my
yeah.
head. Because if it was
That sucks.
If it was a person, then I'd just do it.
Right.
But,
Well,
whenever
because
it's
you're
the
like,
testing thing.
when you're doing it in real life, you're probably trying to like do it quickly and not think about it that much.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
not think about it because that sounds dangerous. But you know what I mean.
Well, it's an involuntary.
Yeah, you want it that because
Yeah.
that's more efficient and that's good for them. But
Right.
like when you have to slow it down and really think about it, you probably do
Slow
skip
it down,
steps.
think about it, and go. Okay, well, first I would do this, and
Yeah.
next I would do this, and next
Not
I would do this, and
skip
next I would do
steps
this.
like you would in real life.
Right. Yeah.
God,
And it's
that
not
would
even
be a little tricky.
not like skipping steps, but just trying to get it, out.
I could see how
from,
that'd be totally
from
tricky.
head to mouth.
Like what I do at my job, like I do it completely like autopilot nowadays.
Right.
Like, but if you told me that I needed to break down like step by step, I'm almost positive I'd forget a bunch of important stuff.
Right.
Because I just do it. I don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it's happening, I'm thinking about it, but like I don't go. And next I'm going to do this.
Right.
And next I'm going to
But
do
the nice
this.
thing too is they weren't testing me on like their local protocols, quote unquote.
Well, that's good because that would be
local
hard.
protocols.
What does that mean?
No, I said it wrong the first time.
Oh.
So, quote unquote, local protocols. They didn't test me on that. They tested me on what national standard would be. So,
Well, that's good.
Everything that you should.
Does that
know.
differ a bunch?
It can, because every
But you can probably learn that crap on the job, right?
well, it's
From
more
your
just
guy.
like reading what their protocols are. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure you learn some of that like when you're like work because they don't put you
cat's
with
being
another
a
new
dick.
guy.
My
Yeah.
cat is just being a dick.
He's gonna take a poop.
Yeah, so we went through, and the trauma one was fine. The only thing that they said was, well, in this system, we do this. So I'm sure you don't have that in your other system.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, no, I've never heard of that.
Right.
Like,
This is all new.
this is a drug that I've never used before, but it's in your system. So, and they're like, yeah, that's
Huh.
fine. And the medical one was, it went fine. The psych one, I was the only person that could get the quote unquote psych patient on the cot, because they basically what they do is they have
Do
like
they have like an actor?
well, they had one of the other EMTs or paramedics or whatever playing people.
Oh, man.
So, like for the
Oh,
trauma
man.
one, they had a guy that was shot, quote unquote, shot in the leg, and he was
You had to like
sitting there
treat
and
him
whatnot.
as if.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that weird doing the psych one especially?
Yeah, literally, she put a tinfoil hat on and was sitting there. Yeah.
Talking about the Illuminati.
It was, yeah, but
That's rad.
basically what they want to do is they
That'd
want
be a
to
fun job.
they want to know that you can hit like a certain set amount of criteria to get to the end result or whatever.
Well, not to mention, I'm sure like seeing how you handle those, even though they're fake situations, tells them a lot about you, your
Yeah.
personality and stuff,
Yeah.
which is important too.
And then there was also a written test, which was super hard. It was like taking the flight test.
Oh, nice.
Like, it was a lot of questions that I hadn't thought about in years.
Right.
But then, like, I sat there afterwards with them, the field training officer who tested it. She was like, yeah, you got the second highest score
Oh, good.
of anybody ever, including the person that wrote the test. So,
Wow. Well, that makes you feel good then.
yeah, it does. I mean, it still wasn't as good as I'd want to, like, for myself. But
I mean, hey,
was,
you got to be happy with that.
Yeah.
Like, you can't beat yourself up over second best ever.
What?
That's good, though.
I experienced something that I had never experienced before, and it was really weird, and I don't know how much I liked it. With the mega code, what they have the back end of a box ambulance.
Right.
That's technically a a trailer, so they can move it from place to place.
Oh, it comes off?
No, it was.
Oh, I see.
There was not the box was not on a chassis. It was a trailer. So they had the back end of an ambulance sitting there, and in the back end of the ambulance was a dummy. Now I'm used to like CPR dummies and stuff like that, where you, know, you just do CPR on
That's
them.
how you learn a lot of that crap.
Right. This one blinked.
Oh, God.
It breathed. It had a pulse.
That's
like you could put your fingers on its carotid artery and you could feel it, the pulse in the carotid. It had a radial pulse.
Oh.
You could watch the chest rise and fall.
God, did its pupils dilate?
It would talk to you.
Oh.
Like the guy that was running the test, the proctor for the test, had a headset. And you would talk to the dummy, and he would talk back to you through the dummy.
Oh, that's so creepy.
And it was all controlled by an iPad. And so you would put this cardiac monitor on, and it would give you the rhythm. Like, it would show you the rhythm.
Wow.
You put, like, end-tidal CO2 on a nasal cannula or anything, and it would show you what the CO output of the patient was. Whoa. It was crazy.
I mean, think about back in the day when you were first being trained. How cool that would have been for learning purposes, though.
It would have been, but that was the thing.
That's a pretty amazing piece of technology. It's creepy though.
There's a TV hanging off the side of the ambulance box, and it was feeding the cameras. Like cameras that were inside the box were feeding into the TV, and so they showed us this thing before we even took it. And he's just sitting there and blinking on the cot. I'm like, that skews me out just a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I don't like it.
Like, everyone else leaves, you're the last one out, and he just goes, "Thank you, Drew." Oh, God.
We get the hell out of here. So
you just like performed mouth to mouth on him, and he was like, "Call me."
So yeah, it was kind of cool, and
I would mess people with.
You could even start
for sure.
You could even start an IV on it, and it would give you like the flash from.
Weird.
Yeah, it's
pretty
creepy.
Impressive technology.
It is. So it was a new thing for me, and I knew.
And where is this?
This is over in Champaign, actually.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm.
I was assuming this was like a big city or like where they'd have a lot of money to put towards stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Well, the hospital that bought out the service and everything is a not for profit hospital because it's a
like a
Catholic hospital,
like a charity hospital.
Yeah, it's a Catholic hospital, so they're a not for profit, so they have all this money they can dump into training and everything.
Oh, yeah, they probably have great facilities and great like things to help you out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But now you have to convert to Catholicism. You have to say your Hail Marys.
So,
that's actually a thing that just happened. I guess back in the old days, like, a lot of doctors would have to, like, say they're Catholic to work at those hospitals. Like, not that long ago. It's really crazy.
Well, the funny thing about, like, hospitals is most doctors are not employed, like ER doctors are not employed by the hospital. They're employed by a company that contracts out the doctors to the hospital.
It's so shady.
You will see
convoluted.
You will actually see, like, you'll have doctors that are in one hospital, and you go to another hospital, and like that week they're working in that hospital.
Oh yeah,
so they're on rotation, and
I just thought those guys were like workaholics, and they worked at more than one hospital. Like, well, they are workaholics, probably.
Right.
Most doctors are workaholics.
So they definitely like they trade off on different hospitals. It's weird. Like I
don't think I
realize
could
that.
be a doctor. Nope.
So that was kind of
work for me. I'm lazy.
that was it was an interesting experience, and all the people there, they seemed like really genuinely good people. And like I told the guy, like the supervisor that was doing my interview, in EMS, we should all be a family. Like you have to get along
like
with
a community.
Everyone should, in my opinion, treat it more like military, where you are a family, and if you don't have, if your coworkers are not watching your back, you're probably going to die.
Right.
And that comes out a lot in EMS as well, because same thing. If you don't have somebody that is watching your back, something bad could happen that you don't even realize is going to happen. Right. And it happened in Chicago. Somebody threw a brick through the window of an ambulance, and all 3 people were injured and had to go to the hospital.
Not to mention, like, just getting in the wrong place, wrong time a lot.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dark places that
you come in and it's just like a gang fight going on or something,
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, Detroit and places like New York and Chicago have those problems all the time.
Yeah, but I mean,
St. Louis EMT would be terrifying.
It's seriously, I don't want to say it's just as bad, but it can get as bad around here. This was actually something that I was wanting to bring up.
People are armed more around here too.
Well, that's also a better thing, because you have more people that can watch your back.
Yeah.
I mean, this argument has always been my argument. It's the criminals are always going to be able to find a weapon, and if you take it away,
don't need a gun to kill somebody either.
Right? If you take it away from the people that are follow the rules and law-abiding citizens, then you're honestly taking it away from the people who be able to help
correctly
when the police aren't there,
or defend themselves,
exactly,
or something like that. That's always been my thing. Like, I don't take a hard stance because I'm not a gun owner, for one, so it's really not my place. It's kind of like how I don't take a hard stance on, like, a lot of women's issues because I'm a man.
Right.
I'm not really allowed to do that, in my opinion. So, like, with the gun stuff, I'm always like, I feel like if they wanted to make it a little bit more no-nonsense, like, if you get in trouble with a gun one time, then they'll take the fucker away. Like, if you want to make it a little harder to have guns, I think that would still be fine. But see, taking them away completely is never going to work.
You also still have that, like, okay, so...
Like, if they want to do, like, a psych exam before they allow you to have certain weapons, sure, fuck it, whatever.
They actually just passed a law, which does make it harder. But, like, all the people that are ex-military that I know, in Illinois now, if they feel like you might... have an issue, then they can take them away for a certain amount of time.
That's just them being scared of stuff.
So you have, people like a lot of my partners, I've said before, were ex-military, and all of, like, most of them honestly have a history of, like, post-traumatic stress disorder and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As do most EMS and as do most first responders to a certain extent. Yeah. So if they feel like you're going to have a problem, or that you could have a problem, they can take it away.
But see, I'm talking more like safety. Like, if they wanted to make the safety test really stringent and hard, so they're like 100% positive you can safely use this thing, that would be fine. I don't think anybody would complain too hard about that. I mean, they'd complain, but they wouldn't really be mad.
But see, that's the other side of the coin is, the criminals will always be able to get a gun.
Oh, yeah.
You can get a drop gun in Chicago like nobody's business. And it's not registered to you. It's not registered to anybody. So you're taking it away from the people who know what they're doing.
Well, the only way it works is if you completely desaturize, which takes a long time. Like, I think it's Hong Kong. Hong Kong, they have literally no guns. Like, their police don't even carry guns because they don't have guns in that country. Like, there's none. I think, like, the military has guns, and, like...
It's like England.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like, and it's, like, all the crimes, like, all the gang crime in, like, Hong Kong, they fight with, like, knives and shit.
That's exactly how it is in England, too. The knife-related deaths and the bomb-related deaths are huge.
Yeah, they find ways. People always find ways.
Yeah.
But, I mean, knives aren't so bad because nobody takes a stray knife... but bombs are pretty bad. So there's no... I think that the takeaway from this is that people are looking for, like, the perfect system that fixes everything, and that doesn't exist.
Right.
There is a country where... I it's one of those. It's kind of one of those crazy countries that you wouldn't want to live in, but everyone serves in the military if you want to be a citizen.
Oh yeah,
like that one movie where they fight bugs. Anyway, so like everybody's been in the military. Everybody gets gun training, like everyone, and everyone has a gun. Like everybody has a gun, and there's like almost no random violent crime.
right.
But every now and again, people do go nuts. And people that go nuts, they don't care if everybody else has got a gun.
But then they go nuts, and then everybody else has a gun.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't last.
People
that
get
long.
hurt, but so it's still not perfect, but it works pretty well, I think, as far as I know.
Right.
I wouldn't say there's no crime, but I bet there's less break-ins, house break-ins. I wouldn't
totally.
break into houses if every house had a gun in it. Hell no, it's not worth it.
Are you? Do you get into like conspiracy theories at all?
Some of them.
A
little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Do you like
I'm
more
not like chemtrails and stuff like not the crazy government conspiracy stuff. They're interesting though.
Yeah.
My sister's really into them.
See, I see a lot of this is kind of off topic. I think maybe not. I see a lot of like the super rich control a lot of stuff that
The
you don't
1%.
think about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, I honestly believe this. So I've had this thought for a long time, and I feel like it's my thought. I'm sure other people have come to the same conclusion, but I think that like celebrity gossip, Hollywood gossip, musicians, and things like that. I think that all of that is scripted.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I think it maybe individually scripted. Like I think your PR agent, you're Taylor Swift, right? And your PR agent's like, hey Taylor, so people are not as interested in you as they were last month. Like you need to do some stuff and get yourself out there. Like go date freaking some famous guy and then dump him, and then it'll be all over the news. People will be freaking out. And I also think that some of that stuff totally happens whenever bad shit happens, so that people are thinking about it instead. Like there was a lot of like celebrity craziness going on during like things that happen in other countries that are really fucked up, like the Coney 2012 thing.
Yeah,
like it's crazy, man. Well,
so,
that's nice.
A friend of mine was talking about, apparently he's into the big like Illuminati bull crap, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know, man. It could be.
But
it could be happening.
He was showing me videos.
I don't know about the whole lizard people part of it, but like
he was
the
showing,
secret society, sure.
He was showing me videos of famous people, famous musicians that in the middle of a show or in the middle of an interview, like just stop. Like somebody says a word and they just stop.
Just glitch. Oh, you're talking about MK Ultra.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
that's nuts.
YouTube Poppy. Her name is Poppy. It's like it's not real, but it's basically she is an MK Ultra musician. That's like the character she plays. It's pretty good.
Well, I'm even
really
talking
weird.
about like there was one of, I think it was Katy Perry or somebody, like in
I've
the middle.
I've seen some stuff where Kanye glitched out, kind of.
Well, I think I don't know if it was Katy Perry or somebody, but they like in the middle
One
of the
those
show
female pop
just
actresses.
like started singing a song and then all of a sudden, quote unquote, passed out.
Oh, I think it was Ariana Grande. I'm not gonna lie, man. Katy Perry is dumber than a box of rocks.
Yeah.
I saw an interview where she was interviewing Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is weird in itself.
Yeah.
But Neil deGrasse Tyson, I feel like he just says yes to stuff. Like he's like, Katy Perry wants to interview me? All right.
Right.
You know, he's just, okay, I'll reach more people this way. That's probably what he was thinking.
Right.
Well, she was talking about how she sucks at math. And I can relate. I'm terrible at math. But she's like, I suck at math, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I really love science. And he's like, well, then... He's like, oh, well, you know, science is... Math is in everything. Math is in science. Math is a major part of science. And she goes, really? Is math a part of science? And the look on his face is just like... Oh God, Katie! Like, I
do you think she really meant it though?
Yeah, she's dumb.
Okay.
She's super dumb. Like, you know, there's like a special thing that happens to famous people, especially famous musicians, and like the top famous people, where they're surrounded constantly by people who never call them out on
Yes
anything,
men.
and they
Just
never,
all yes men.
yeah, yeah, and yes, people in general, like no one ever says no or that's stupid. Why did you say that to them? Like, you need that,
Right.
and they don't get that, so like they just go stupid crazy. Like Tom Cruise is super crazy because no one ever says no. Tom Cruise, that is a stupid opinion.
So,
like if I said some stupid shit, you'd call me out on it.
yeah.
It's because you're a friend. You're a good friend. Michael Jordan had a Hitler mustache for like 6 years when we were kids. It's because no one told him,
But he was a total
Michael,
baller, though.
you can't have a Hitler mustache. Slap that thing off his mouth.
Technically, that's called the toothbrush.
Yeah, he had a
So.
Charlie Chaplin mustache. Hitler ruined it for everybody.
Yes, he did. What a dick. That little Jewish hating bastard.
Yeah.
The reason why I got on this little tangent is because when we were talking about how in big cities or like St. Louis there was all this like you have to worry about where you're going and
Right,
being bad neighborhoods and all this stuff. And we started talking about these conspiracy theories because I see. And I'm not a big conspiracy theorist guy. Like I see some of these videos. I need some
proof first. Usually.
I see some of these videos and I'm like, okay, that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah,
and
I'll give them that.
Awkward.
I'm not gonna like go shouting it from the streets.
No.
I'm a skeptic at heart, but I'll give them that. Like, ooh, that is weird.
I was actually talking to a friend of mine who happens to be gay, who is a really big like conspiracy theorist guy, and he was telling me about the whole MGK whatever the hell.
MK Ultra.
Yeah, MK Ultra stuff.
Which is supposedly what they called it back in the 70s when they started it.
Yeah, and I do believe that they were doing some of that stuff with the military.
And they really did do that.
Yeah.
It's just the question is,
do they continue?
If you're not a conspiracy theorist, they stopped because it didn't work. If you are, they did it in secret.
Right. So. But I see a lot of like history. Sorry, burping.
I thought you were thinking about it really hard. I was like really interested. You had like a dramatic pause.
I see a lot of these like threads that are going through history, and we were talking about guns and stuff like that. Like I'm a really big like Second Amendment guy. Like, I always have been because I grew up in the country, and I also like I've seen the worst of the worst. Like I've seen a lot of the violence that I see a lot of the violence that the criminals can do, and the people who don't have the ability to protect themselves.
Oh yeah,
that it causes a lot of problems and death, destruction,
which is a problem in itself.
Yes, but there's been the last 2 years has been this huge discussion on making gun rights change because it is protected under the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. So that is a protected thing that we have.
I think the problem is that like good like political change is never supposed to be reactionary. Like,
true.
If you react to something, it's almost never good.
But
and that's the thing; they're just reacting to school shootings and things like that.
Well, this is where my conspiracy theory comes in. All right, so if you guys think I'm wrong, let us know. 107 off duty at gmail.com or the Facebook group 107 off duty. You see some of these. Okay, so it started out with Florida at the LGBTQ nightclub.
Oh yeah.
And
that.
there was a lot.
I don't keep up with the news very well.
There was a lot of outrage on that just because it was the gay
hate crime,
the gay community, and stuff like everything.
I think it was a hate crime. Like they were not sure.
Possibly,
yeah.
So you had that, and then it started out with the nightclub for the gay community, and then that didn't work.
Right.
And then they had the Las Vegas shooting.
Wait. Their plan being to like anger people into creating some new laws.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then the Las Vegas shooting happened.
Right.
And that was... So they started out with the gay community, and then they moved on to the country folk. And they were figuring, if we can get these country folk outraged...
Well, they are the strongest group
gun
of
rights
people
activists,
that are for gun rights.
That didn't work because they were all saying, well, if I had my gun there, it wouldn't have happened.
Right. They backfired.
Yeah. So now we're looking at, the worst.
And then they went for the kids, which no one is ever going to be like, I don't care about.
Exactly. This is the worst, the most amount of school shootings we have had ever.
Yeah.
They have happened over the years, but this is the most amount that we have had ever.
And the thing about these school shootings, which I don't think they all were this case, but when we were kids, there were school shootings. There was the Columbine thing, and there was others as well.
And those were just, depressed people that
kids
decided,
usually. Yeah. And that usually, I remember when we were kids, that would always spark a huge video game witch hunt and like media witch hunt, which hasn't happened this time.
Yeah,
that kid didn't happen to play Grand Theft Auto or something like that.
And it's always, and unfortunately, it's always a stolen gun. Now, these kids don't just buy them.
No,
they always take them from other people, or and I'm not going to say they didn't buy. I haven't followed it enough to say that one of them didn't buy it illegally, but there's no way they could have bought them legally.
No, they're too young.
Right.
Parents could have. They could have stole it from their parents.
Yeah, and that's that's how Columbine happened too, because the parents had it.
Guns.
But
his dad was like a gun nut, like big time, right? He had a bunch. They just had a rack.
Some people did
in their living room,
but
it wasn't nearly as prevalent, I should say.
You and I both grew up country.
Yeah, my grandpa had 3 guns right there on the wall.
Right. But we were also taught to respect guns, too.
Yeah, we also knew those were not toys, and if we touched them, we'd probably get the crap kicked out of our butts.
Yeah, but we were also taught, a good respect for guns at that point.
I knew how to shoot a gun safely and correctly when I was like 12 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Yeah.
And like 11, 12, that was when I was first introduced, and...
I first got a BB gun,
yeah.
And when I didn't shoot my eye out with that, I got a .22 rifle, and then I learned how to shoot a shotgun, and then I learned how to shoot pistols.
It's always funny to me to see like people who did not grow up around guns, because as far as you and me are concerned,
we should just give them
the first time that I am given a pistol, like one of my friends is showing me a pistol that they just got or something.
Right.
And the first thing I do is clear it, make sure that there's nothing in the chamber, make sure it's empty, and then I start looking at it.
Right.
But giving it to somebody who did not grow up that way or did not grow up around them, they're just like, pointing it wherever the fuck they feel
waving
like.
It around
And it's like, dude, stop. Wait, hold on. No, let me show you how to do this.
Well, that's why, like, I've never really gotten into guns for fun, perhaps. You might like target shooting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That sounds worse than I meant it. Like, I don't ever get into like recreational gun stuff. Like, when I was a kid, it was just like a gun was a tool, and that was it. Like, it was never a toy.
For hunting.
Yeah, we used it for stuff. And like, I would shoot targets when I was a kid, but that was just so that I could get better at shooting other things.
Right. And
I never got into hunting much either, but I was in that world. So,
No, I love going target shooting,
Ooh, I skipped a step. First I got a slingshot, then I got a BB gun, then I got a .22. That's what it was.
But see, I grew up, one of my best friends who unfortunately passed, him and his brother were and their family were big gun people.
My dad's not a big gun guy, but he can shoot, dude.
They actually had their own range because they lived out in the country. They had their own berm,
That's cool.
Where they would hang everything. This guy was actually he repaired weapons. Like, he would get broken weapons,
worked on them and
would repair them,
like
and
restored
then sell them.
Yeah, like restored like old ones. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
And he was the first person I ever met
get into that. That sounds like fun.
That ever reloaded his own shells. So.
Oh yeah, which is actually very popular nowadays.
Yeah,
a lot of guys do that now. Of course, they have machines that basically do it for you.
Yeah, but if you get it too hot of a load, it'll blow that weapon up, man. I'm telling you.
Like in the cartoons, it really looks like that too. Apparently.
But see, that's my thing is. Being in EMS and having partners that were prior military and stuff, it becomes obvious if you're if you're a first responder for long enough, you can see how the progression of anger things have become. So
people are angry, man.
That's the main reason why I have weapons is for self-defense. Really.
Yeah, you don't really do a lot of the target shooting or what's that called whenever you do it's not an obstacle course per se, but you there's just it's
competition shooting
sports that you can do with shooting. I've never seen you do any of that.
No,
you just have a gun for having a gun's sake. You don't go out and do stuff with it all the time.
No, I go out and do
hobby.
I do target shooting with more of the ex-military people that I work with,
but that's
because
more
they all have
just
weapons
to keep your skills up, not really for you're not getting them trophy.
No. It's all about making sure my skills are honed enough that if for some reason somebody did break into my home and they have a weapon, I know exactly what to do to make sure that I'm in cover and I can see where I need to see to get it done. To get the job done.
You're not doing it for
sport purposes,
or for leisure purposes.
Yeah,
which there's nothing wrong with that. It's never been my thing.
Right, and a lot of the guys that do that sport shooting and competition shooting, they have so much money wrapped up in those guns. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
just to get a good sight is $600.
Yeah,
I've looked into it. I'm like,
and I mean that's an expensive hobby, but it's not the most expensive hobby.
Right.
Yeah. They could buy sports cars.
And see, that's the funny thing, and to go back to it is, I'm not that guy that's like, oh, aliens. Whoa,
yeah.
But it's
I can just picture that guy,
right, aliens. With the crazy hair.
Yeah, the ancient aliens guy.
I'm just it's weird for me to see
how.
Yeah,
we need to get back to where you sum up your actual thoughts you were having.
Yeah, the fact that we've had weapons around, and people like you and me, we know how to handle them.
Right.
And most people in EMS have been around weapons. I don't know anybody who is a first responder that's anti-gun, because we all are worried that at some point somebody's going to pull something on us, and I've had it happen to me.
Yeah.
I've been on calls before and had a shotgun pointed directly at my face and threw a cop through a window.
Whoa.
The front door window of their screen door, because if I didn't do that, I was pretty sure he was going to blow my face off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's all about...
Wait, you threw a cop through a window?
Cot.
Oh,
like the cot.
I thought you said cop. I was like, how did you not get in trouble for that?
No,
I feel like they'd be pretty mad at you.
No, the cops did show up. There was about 7 cars. They all had ARs, and they brought the guy out. And this guy was
was he the one that needed the help?
Yeah. His son.
He just didn't want.
His son was knocking on the door and couldn't get his dad to answer the door for 6 hours.
And then he woke up raging.
He was calling his dad. His dad. They said his dad had been sick for a week or so. He was worried about him because he was knocking on the door. His dad didn't come to the door.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And the fire department was trying to force entry into the side door.
Right.
And
which is got to be always a little nerve-wracking.
I'm there with the cot, the monitor, all that stuff, and I'm looking through the window, and all of a sudden I see this guy come out through a side room with a shotgun, and
because he just woke up totally confused, or what?
I don't.
What was going on with this guy?
I have no idea.
Man,
he ended up going with
how do you survive?
The officers.
How do you live not knowing whys and stuff? It would drive me nuts. Why did he do that?
At this point in my career, man, it's either I'm taking him to the hospital, or he's going to jail, or he's going to stay home. So one of the three is going to happen.
I would just be so curious.
So at that point, I honestly. I yelled "gun" to the firemen at the back of the house.
Right.
And by the time I got that out, the front door was opened and there was a shotgun pointed directly at my head.
Oh, wow.
And so the only thing
did you guys have to did you guys talk him down?
No,
we're just here to help you, bro. Chill out.
I mean, there's a fire truck. It was the front of the house, so there was the fire truck and the ambulance were sitting right there. He had the shotgun pointed right at me, and I literally grabbed the side of the cot and threw it through the freaking window,
and then distract him.
Ducked behind the freaking ambulance as fast as I could.
Nice. That's probably the smart thing to do, is distract him, because if you tried to take that shotgun, somebody would have probably got shot.
Right.
Because the first thing you do when someone tries to take something from you is squeeze.
Yeah, but
And I bet
mean,
his finger was on that trigger. So,
like I
boom,
said,
that would have went off and shot some kid somewhere or something. You did the right thing.
like I said though, like if it was just me and him, I would have just grabbed the barrel of the gun because I mean it would have been easier. But it was a screen, not a screen door, but like the first door, and then you have the main door. So he opened the main door, but there was still a window between me and him, so I couldn't like grab it.
No,
I couldn't punch through the window and cut myself
You'd
up.
have got shot,
right?
Too, and the time it would have taken you to do that, you'd have been shot.
So just grabbed the cot, threw it through the window, and booked it as fast as I can.
Yeah, man. They actually, I don't know why this just came to my mind. But it always makes me laugh. But I think it's actually probably true. They say if you're ever in a home invasion situation, that the best thing to do is to take all of your clothes off and like
nobody's gonna fight a naked man.
Surprise them nakedly, because that pretty much gives you like 2 or 3 seconds of confusion to do what you want to. Because the first thing they say is to like not just wait for them, like get somewhere they don't expect you to be and surprise them. And like I just imagine, like, because I don't have a gun. I have a license for a gun, but I just don't have one.
I say no on that because if somebody surprises me, the first thing I'm going to do is pull the trigger.
Right. Well, yeah, perhaps. Although most home invasions are unarmed, but not all, so you don't know. Right. But like, I don't have a gun, but I do have like it's like a 20-inch machete. It's basically a sword, right?
Right.
So I always know where it is. Right now it's in the car. But like, which is not safe. I don't think it's a good idea to have a machete in the car flying around.
You get in a wreck and then that's going to the back of your head.
Yeah, probably.
This is the last time we're going to see John.
Yeah.
So.
And we just jinxed it. It's right out there. It's a beast too, and it's all black, so you can't see it at night. But it's got like, I don't know. It's really sharp and it's really freaking scary. It looks like something Jason would have. Anyway, for real. So I always imagine, like, if somebody broke into my house, I just grab that, strip naked, and then just be like, "I've been waiting for you."
Or the drugs.
Yeah, like it took you long enough, bitch. Just whisper that to them, and just watch the pee puddle and see them run. Like, because I don't imagine anybody would be ready for that. It's like, I'm a big guy. I'm not pretty to look at when I'm nude, and I'm pretty sure it would just be like, yes.
He is not pretty to see when he's nude. I've seen it. It's not good.
Yeah, it's gonna be frightening.
He is married though, so apparently somebody wants to look at it.
Yeah, somebody appreciates my nudeness.
No, we keep getting on these tangents, dude.
Yeah, it's a tangenty kind of day.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, like, I think it's weird to see how the progression of trying to get the gun laws changed has progressed to the point where now it's the kids dying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When we didn't deal with that, like, we didn't have to deal with that when we were kids. Mm-hmm. So it's either a product of upbringing where the parents are not.
I'm pretty hard on that one. That's my stance. A lot of times, it's almost always the parents.
I got my butt beat a lot. When I did something bad, spanks.
See, I didn't get a lot of that. My dad was very nuclear option. Like, he had a big scary belt that I think he might have like used it once, or didn't even use it at all. But I was like afraid of it. Right. And my dad can command respect. Like, he was just like,
he's a big man.
Yeah.
I've seen him. I've met him.
And he's unnaturally strong, and he's a really nice guy, but I mean, he could lay you out, I'm sure. Like, he's just, he's been working his whole life in factories and farmlands and stuff like that. So, like, for him, it was always a matter of just, like, 1 or 2 belt loops, and I was like, I will never do that again. Like, and I was a bad kid, don't get me wrong, but I was always very, like, I didn't smoke in front of my dad until I was, like, 23.
Yeah.
Just out of, like, I just feel like it's wrong. I feel like it's disrespectful. Like, I had a lot of, like, respect for him because he did me right, so he deserved that.
Well, that's the thing is, I think like there's these things called helicopter parents now that, like, hover over their children, which actually causes as much damage as
it sure
being
does.
a hands-off
and
parent.
all this stuff comes from a good place. These people love their kids, of course,
right.
But they either too much love or not enough.
Right. And that's the thing is, like, there's got to be that happy medium. You have to give your children, and I don't have children. You're about to be a dad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we grew up rural, and we grew up with parents that loved us and
big families
took
all
care
around,
of us.
stuff like that.
But there was also that whole,
I had friends that had really bad parent situations, though. So I know about that.
So my parents, I mean, my dad is the reason why I work on cars, because he, taught me how to work on things. My mother taught me how to play guitar, and it was always church music,
Right.
Because that's, Mom.
But it still gets you the basics.
But so she taught me how to play beginning guitar, and then after I got into music, I surpassed her to the point where she would ask me how to play things. So, and my mom was more of the, like, hoverer than my father was.
Yeah.
Because my dad was like more of the mindset of, ask me a question, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And my mom was more like, I'm going to tell you everything I know at all times.
Yeah. And that's what my dad did really well. Like, that's the big thing. A lot of things from my dad I want to take and, like, bring that to my daughter. But one of the biggest things that I never noticed it when I was a kid, but when I think back on it, really blows me away, is he didn't really very often ever say because. Right. Just because. Like, I would be like, for example, when I was a kid, I really wanted a Power Wheel. Because those commercials, man, they made them look so fun. And I was like, Dad, I really wanted a Power Wheel. Can I get a Power Wheel? Like, can we just go get one?
Right.
Because I didn't understand money back then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he would, rather than just being like, no, we can't get that. Why? Because I said we can't. Because it was just frustration. Parents do that. Nothing against that. But, like, he would always take the time and be like, this is why.
Right.
We can't. And I would leave being like, okay, so what do I do? And he would be like, well, here's what you do. If you want, like, do this work, save your money, get this thing, And, like, I never did because they were very expensive back then.
Yeah.
But, like, I think I got something else that was pretty awesome. But, like, he never just said, like, just listen to me and shut up. Like, he would just explain things to me, and I thought that was really, like, that gave me, like, I felt like an adult when he would do that. So I acted like one.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the problem is a lot of people. I don't want to
step on parents' toes because every parent has their reasons for everything.
I don't want to be flippant about it, but I feel like either A, they're too strict, and that makes people want to rebel and go out and
prove
do things,
their parents wrong in all the wrong ways.
But then again,
I've seen that too.
Whenever they get to school, then their parents are super strict, so everyone gangs up on them and is bad to them. Or you have people who just don't do anything with their children. And
those kids just go wild all the time.
Yeah, and then those are the bullies and the people who... Yeah.
I think the point that to be taken from that
I don't
is
stand
it's
with
a
bullies,
happy medium, man. You got to find a happy medium. You can't be too strict, but you also can't not be strict at all. Like, you gotta lay it down sometimes, but you also have to respect your kid. Like, I feel like a lot of problems is, like, treating your kid like a little kid too long.
Yeah.
Like, parents, I think, get into that, like, mindset where they just treat them like they're toddlers forever. And that'll ruin a kid just as quick as letting them do whatever they want,
Right. And see, like I've said, like,
kids are going to suck. That's just how kids are.
Yeah.
Teenagers are going to be crazy.
We also don't let the kids take care of the problem themselves.
Yeah.
Like we used to.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten in fights with other kids before, and then by the time we're done with that little, like, scuffle that we had, it was done.
Yeah.
And now that's
the one of the 2 or 3 fights I've ever been in. That's exactly how it went. Like, nobody stepped in. It just happened. It went down. I got in trouble later. And then my dad was like, here's what you did wrong.
Right. And see, that's there's two sides to this coin that I'm not sure about. Like I said, I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists.
Right.
But I still wonder. I wonder how many hands are in this little pot that is trying to get things more strict.
Yeah. Well, you could also say, like, a less conspiracy theory, like a little bit less tinfoil hat would be that perhaps they are maybe controlling the media coverage of these things.
Oh, they definitely are.
Like, maybe they didn't set these things up to happen.
Right.
But maybe they control how much attention they get.
Right.
Like, things happen all the time. Only certain things are really blown up in the media.
Yeah.
That's a little strange.
Truth.
That's a little odd. Like, small town, a guy in my small town of 500,000, 5,000 people, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
5,000 people in our town. A guy, he kind of, I don't know what happened. He went nuts, and he, like, I think he, like, shot his kids, shot his wife, and then shot himself. Like, but that didn't hit the news. I didn't know about it until people told me about it.
Well, and see, that's the other thing I forgot about too, was the whole like Black Lives Matter movement thing.
Which, don't get me wrong, like,
they do
the
definitely.
idea behind it, I'm 100% behind.
But there's
but
a lot
I wonder about like some of the stuff. Like,
there are a lot of
who
things that
is driving this.
There's a lot of things that I found out about just because of my job that the general public didn't know.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's not
because
it's not like we're against Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
It's a good movement, and the Me Too movement too.
Right.
Like that, all that stuff. Like, absolutely. But the people driving the media around it are using something good for something bad.
Right. And I had
which is an important point to make.
I had my one of my friends who happens to be a gay black man.
Yeah.
Well, both of our friends.
Yeah.
AC, he was on here. He's a really cool guy. He's an author. He has a book that he wrote about
poet?
love. Yes. And this is the scary part is with the Black Lives Matter movement stuff, with both services that I had, that I was working for at the time. There was, Black Lives Matter movement, like protests and whatnot that were in both towns that I was in. Especially after the Ferguson, Missouri thing. But there was a lot of information that came out after that where he wasn't just, some guy that, didn't deserve it. And, he did some bad things and there's been a lot of these. There was one in Chicago a week ago that was, the news said, it was just an unarmed black man walking down the street that got hassled by the cops and got shot.
Right.
But there's actually the body cam. There's the body cam video of him pulling his concealed weapon.
Right.
Which he didn't
Which of
have.
those two makes a better story, though?
He also didn't.
That's what sucks about
right.
media.
He didn't have a license for it, a concealed weapon anyway. So
right. Well, even if you got a license and you pull it out in front of a cop, you're still kind of asking for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and don't get me wrong, there are definitely. Like, and this is the bitch of this stuff is I'm 100% pro transparent.
Right, exactly.
I want transparency in our police, absolutely, because
as do I.
The thought of a police force that has no like checks and balances is scary.
Yeah.
Like, and so by all means, I'm all for people like pulling out their camera phones, but like the fact that good thing gets used to like cherry pick out things that they want to show, and that's the real tragedy here.
That's what bothers me as well, is because it only shows one side of the story. And, okay,
and that's not really
sorry
what
for my police brethren out there. I love you all. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
And then 99% of those guys are ass kicking awesome.
Right.
But there is people out there that
there's a lot of them that abuse it, and that sucks.
That's not okay.
No,
and that should be checked.
Yeah.
If not by them, by other people.
There's a lot that goes into like...
And if the perfect system worked, then they would check themselves, and we wouldn't have to worry about that. But that doesn't work.
But then there's, egos get into that too. And a lot of that happens in EMS as well, where, somebody
I'm sure there's
takes...
dirty EMS too.
Well, somebody takes a video showing one side of that story, and then there's that investigation and all that stuff, when really this person is just downright crazy, and you're trying to give them the medication that they need to chill them out for a few, so you can get them to the hospital and get the help that they really need.
Right.
But it's really just one side, and they're like, oh no, these people are just not helping this person at all.
Absolutely.
And that sucks too.
But the problem is, which one of those makes a better news story? That's the one that gets because they don't care so much anymore if it's super truthful. They don't check their stuff.
Well, the news,
and that's everybody.
Have you seen the news that mashup they have on YouTube? That's a whole bunch of different news stories but it's the same news story over.
Oh, and you can't tell they're even the same one.
You can't
that's
tell
a
the
bad
difference.
thing. That's a really bad thing.
Word for word the same thing.
Yeah.
Like that scares me because they're pushing one agenda and they don't care about the rest of it.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, that's honestly,
and people like Mike the Cop and some of these guys who are were on Vine and doing funny stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then now he's got a podcast and all that. He's cool because
that the police force could use some some humanization, not dehumanization.
Humanizing the badge thing. Yeah.
They need that.
Because
people just see them as like the man, and they don't. It never worked for them.
Right. And that's the thing is there's a lot of this. There's a lot of this like
Shop with a Cop has done a lot of that. And that's been going on for a long time.
There's a lot of unknown agenda that makes people look like the enemy who shouldn't be made to look like the enemy.
Yeah, it's a real fucking shame, truthfully, honestly. Yeah, that's not cool.
That's a can of worms, man.
It really is, man. Like, and honestly, usually when I get into like conspiracy stuff, I tend to see like okay, that's a problem. But this is a real ass problem. Why isn't anybody talking about that?
Right. Because
why
it
are
doesn't
people freaking out
sensationalize
over that?
Good enough.
Yeah,
And there's a guy
true.
named Dominic Izzo who was a sheriff, I think, in Cook County, or a deputy in Cook County, and it ran for sheriff. But he was calling out the actual Cook County sheriff, the Chicago sheriff, and got fired because he was calling him out. So he ran for sheriff and basically got shut out.
Oh, he didn't win? That sucks.
So and
that sucks, man.
You can find him. I mean, I've
ruined
watched
his
his
career,
video.
man.
Yeah.
That sucks, man.
But he has great information. Like he shares a whole bunch of videos that's like, okay, well, this is what the media is saying. This is where I come in as a
maybe he should have
deputy.
waited to get the seat first and then start.
Right.
I bet he would do it differently now. But he probably didn't expect that.
Right.
Because why would you? Why would you ever expect that they would turn on him? You'd think that people would want that, but that sucks.
I mean, like I said, there's stuff that goes on that you can't see, and that sucks.
Oh yeah.
So this has been an interesting episode. I think. I mean, we talked a lot about some EMS stuff, and we talked a lot about some alien stuff.
Oh, by the way, aliens are super real.
Oh yeah, totally.
Whether or not they can travel through space is another matter. But I could go on about this for hours. But to shorten it down, there are millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of
life
planets.
forms and life forms.
Oh, probably, absolutely, almost possibly, almost possible, almost 100%. And every one of those. I should have said I said planets. I meant suns or stars. Every one of those stars has, on average, 3 to 5 planets. None of those planets have other life. That's BS. There's no way.
No,
that's complete BS. That none of those planets have life. They have life.
They found
whether or not
bacteria
those
on Mars.
Yeah, and the question is,
and bacteria
out of those
is a life
billions
form.
and billions and billions and billions of possible life forms, how many of those haven't killed themselves off, or how many of those haven't evolved in any meaningful way to a intelligence? That number is small, probably.
Right.
And how far away are they? We can do some pretty awesome stuff, but we haven't even gotten people past Mars yet. We haven't even gotten
people to Mars yet.
Yeah,
we haven't gotten anybody past the moon.
We can't get anywhere near that. But just say say there's hundreds and thousands of them, but they're all stuck in their own galaxy or their own solar systems right now. That's more likely.
I think probably we should save that and do another.
Yeah, we'll go into that further. I've got some stuff. I'm a huge astrology geek, man. I love that stuff, man.
That's astronomy, not astrology. Astrology.
Oh yeah,
is Gemini,
astrology's that stuff, which I don't believe in too much. Yes, put that in the case files.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, please, for the love of God, go on patreon.com/offduty and support us. We have some extra episodes up. We have some exclusives up. We're going to make some more exclusives very soon. Mr. Seth Thomas is Cadella wants us to do some of the EMS shows and do a commentary over the top of them.
Oh yeah, that
to
sounds
see
like a great
how
idea.
just how pissed off I can get, which is going to be pretty pissed off.
I think there will actually be some interesting stuff in that though, because like I'll be watching it from like the intended viewer's standpoint.
Yeah.
So I think they'll actually might get some interesting content out of that.
I think so too.
Because I think that is like, ultimately, I think that's why our show kind of works. Because you have knowledge and I don't.
Right.
Like, I've learned a bunch of stuff that I didn't even know I needed to know. So, like, I think that'll be interesting.
Also, all of our episodes, except for the Patreon exclusives, are now on offduty.podbean.com. They have their own app, so you'll get notified.
And it's a good app.
It is.
I thought it was
really
going to
cool.
suck, but it's awesome.
But we are also on iTunes and Google Play now. So if you subscribe to us there, if you like what we're doing, please do the Patreon thing and give us $1 or $5 or whatever you want to.
Or €1.
If you have questions or comments or more things that you would like to
Topics
see, please
to suggest even. We don't care.
Go to 107offduty@gmail.com and send us an email there, or facebook.com/107offduty. We do have, for certain subscribers on Patreon, we do have a private group too. So Seth, and go on there and ask to join, and I'll get you on there too. So,
right on.
Because basically what I would like to do, if we can, is a Q&A session monthly for certain subscribers.
That sounds fun.
Seth is definitely one of those. So go on Patreon. We did change a few of the tiers, so go give that a read.
Because now we've thought about them a little harder.
Yeah, and for anybody who is wanting to do the $25 tier, we do have T-shirt designs that we are working on. We just have to get the funds to buy them and send them.
Because they're expensive, surprisingly.
Yeah, more than I thought they were going to be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wish I would have done a little bit more research. But Seth, yes, your T-shirt will be on the way shortly.
Post-haste.
Post-haste. So thank you for listening. We love you all.
I thought that would make a pop sound, but it just missed my fucking mouth and went...